whispers of the forest gave way to the measured clatter of hoofbeats as the crows flew above. The king rode through the dense thicket, his weathered gaze fixed on the horizon. Emerging from the veil of trees, the sight of the southern village unfolded before him. Its streets were lined with wary eyes, years of despair etched into the faces of its people. As he passed through, the air grew heavy with murmurs. The mother clutched her child, answering the whispered question with uncertainty.
Mommy, is the king back?
I don't know, love. Pray he brings salvation.
Elsewhere, voices carried tones of hopelessness and scorn.
It's been 10 years. You can't kill it.
One man muttered bitterly and coughed.
Pathetic. You don't stand a chance.
Sneered another.
My king.
A woman called out imploringly, her voice trembling.
Please, don't end your life like this.
The king offered no reply. His face was a mask of resolve, though his heart bore the weight of their fears. As his steed carried him onward, the camera of the world turned its gaze upward, toward the distant northern castle. A twisted monument of horror and ruin loomed, its battlements draped with grotesque remnants of the demon's reign, rotting organs and unspeakable, mutilated growths that pulsed as if alive. At the castle gates, the king dismounted his horse, his boots crunching against the desolate ground. Whispers danced in the cold air, circling him like specters. He ascended the steps with purpose, each footfall echoing in the lifeless void. Before him loomed the main doors, ancient and foreboding. As his hand extended, a divine shimmer lit the sky, brief flashes of the 7 gods granting their power to the king. The king whispered a solemn prayer.
May the 7th guide me to success.
With these words, his palm met the ancient wood, and flames erupted from the door's edges, consuming its form to grant him passage. Within the castle walls, silence reigned. The silence broken only by the haunting cadence of footsteps that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere. The demon's voice slithered through the void, and its tone shifting between human and inhuman.
Returned at last, I see. Your family awaits.
The king's voice cut through the darkness, steady and unyielding.
Be gone, demon. Your deathly tricks hold no dominion here.
Laughter rippled, dark and mocking.
You fool. You possess no power to demand such change in my realm. Die now.
From the shadows emerged the wretched forms of the king's wife and brother, crying for help. Bound by writhing tendrils of viscera that was connected to the back of their heads and moved with a grotesque marionette-like quality. Blood stained their once familiar faces, and their lifeless white eyes met the king's.
No.
The king whispered, his voice breaking as tears streaked his weathered cheeks. His spell ignited, creating a protective barrier around himself. But his grief was unrelenting as he beheld his loved ones, their humanity devoured by the demon's cruelty. Summoning his strength, the king roared.
I am George Lucas II, King of Nomaraki, protector of this realm and the living. I banish you! Return to your masters or I shall end you.
The demon's laughter filled the chamber, echoing in unison through the mouths of his puppets.
Yawn, and what are they?
It mocked. The king cast a brilliant light, chanting sacred words. A shockwave of divine energy burst forth, severing the grotesque tendrils and releasing his wife and brother from the demon's grasp. Their lifeless bodies fell, crumpled and broken, down the stone steps, lifeless. But the shadows shifted again, revealing a new torment. The king's voice thundered through the dim chamber, filled with sorrow and defiance.
Show yourself!
He bellowed, the echoes resonating like a battle horn across the desolation. From the shadows, a grotesque figure emerged. The broken remnants of his mother's face reflected the faint flickers of divine light still pulsing through the air. Half of her visage was stripped to bone, yet the other half retained a twisted semblance of her humanity. Her voice, layered with the demon's malevolence, rang out.
They are gone. All because of you. Do you feel their blame, King? Do you feel their hatred clawing at your soul?
The king's grip on his sword tightened the flames of the weapon licking hungrily at the darkness as he stood with gritted teeth. As the demon extended its grotesque tendrils toward him, the king's blade ignited with an infernal fire, severing the shadowy arms as they stretched around him. The fiery touch of the sword traced the corrupted tendrils back toward their source, consuming them in a blaze of holy retribution. Through the chaos, the demon's true form began to manifest. Its voice resounded, shaking the very walls of the throne room.
The seven gods have blessed you, I see. Yet even their meddling cannot save you. No mortal may invoke divine aid and remain unscathed by the price.
The demon laughed. The king raised his chin, his voice unwavering despite the wear of years and battle.
Let the gods judge as they will. Your abomination has tormented this realm for far too long. Today, your terror dies.
In the heart of the throne room, the demon fully emerged, towering and monstrous. Its horns curved like jagged blades, its body a shifting abyss of darkness that devoured the meager light of the chamber. Blood-red eyes burned like coals, locking onto the king with a hatred that transcended time. The king stepped forward, his blade alight with the holy flame. He planted it into the ground, falling to his knees. With hands clasped in fervent prayer, he invoked the gods one last time.
If my life be the cost, so be it. Let my sacrifice grant peace to those I have failed to protect. Let this realm stand free of this darkness.
Above, the celestial skies trembled, and brilliant columns of divine light tore through the blackened clouds. The village below watched in awe and fear, their faces upturned as the radiant dome began to form around the castle, protected by the millions of the seventh god's servants. Its iridescent light spiraled upward, trapping the demon within a celestial prison. Panic flickered in the demon. It rushed toward the king, but its flesh began to decay as it neared the radiant barrier. Desperate, it turned to its old tricks, seizing the shattered corpses of the king's wife and brother. Reanimating them as grotesque puppets, it hurled them against the barrier in a final bid for escape. But the power of the gods was unyielding. Each attempt was met with destruction, puppets falling lifeless once more. The king, his strength waning, gripped his sword tighter even as his hand began to wither with age. The divine dome grew smaller, its edges obliterating everything it touched. Castle, stone, and shadow alike. The demon roared as it struggled against the prison, its form beginning to dissipate like a rising fog.
So fragile, yet so defiant. Tell me, old king, did this sacrifice worth the ruin of your flesh and the despair of your people?
The king's voice, though ragged, held the weight of his resolve.
You cannot understand what it means to protect, to endure. You have consumed and destroyed without purpose since the Holy War.
The king let loose of his sword and stood up with his hands trembling as white flames erupted from his eyes. With a guttural roar, he unleashed a curse, forcing the demon to shed its deceitful guise and reveal its true, hideous form again. The ground quaked as the demon retaliated, its colossal arms striking with unearthly force, sending waves rippling through the atmosphere and shaking the very foundation of the land. Their battle raged on, a clash of otherworldly power and unyielding resolve which echoed across the realm. With a surge of magic, the king forced the demon against the ancient stone walls of the ruined castle.
No!
His voice thundered. From the heavens, angels descended, piercing through the shimmering barrier of energy that surrounded the demon. The king raised a crimson stone and held it high. He uttered the forbidden words of the gods, an incantation that would ensure the demon's annihilation. The stone began to pulse and glow. As holy words poured from the king's lips, the power of the stone ignited, unraveling the demon's essence. Its agonized screams echoed across the realm as its form began to fracture, shards of malevolence dissipating into the void. The energy shield constricted, reducing the once mighty castle to rubble. In a final act of defiance, the demon lashed out, its essence leaping toward an angel. It succeeded, possessing its celestial form, and shortly disappeared within the walls. The air grew thick with despair as the corrupted angel let out a soul-piercing scream that echoed across the realm, shattering the resolve of the heavens themselves. One by one, the angels exploded in bursts of divine agony, making human ears bleed if not covered. Their light extinguished, which led to the shield flickering and weakened from within and without. The king stood unwavering. Though his strength waned, he gripped the stone tightly and his voice steady as he sought the demon's presence.
Forgive me,
He whispered, before driving the stone into his own heart. Divine energy surged through the artifact, consuming his life force and pulling the demon toward the king with inescapable force. All life in the surrounding land, even the tiniest fragments of vitality, began to wither their essence and was drawn into the stone. Thousands of glowing orbs were present in the sky for the village to witness. The king fell to his knees, and his final breath escaped his body and became more than a fragile shell for his people. The demon let out one last harrowing scream of rage and terror, which could be heard for miles away. Its essence unraveled, torn apart, and faded into oblivion. The land fell silent as the battle was concluded. The king's sacrifice had purged the darkness, but at a cost that would be remembered for eternity. Shortly after, a beam of light, pure and blinding, descended upon the king from the sky. The power coursed through him and into the stone, creating an explosion that obliterated all in its wake, the castle and the very land itself. When the light faded, only silence remained, and rain began to fall slowly. From the ruined battlefields, one relic endured. The king's blade itself, half buried in the earth, but its fire was not extinguished. It stood as a monument of sacrifice, a reminder of the mortal king who defied gods and demons alike to protect his realm. The remaining people of the village, their lives forever altered by light and shadow, knelt in reverence. Though the king's body was gone, his legacy became legend, and the sword forever holding the light of hope. The end.